Pile foundations. Section 1100. 1101. 1101.1. Description. This work shall consist of construction of all types of piles for structures in accordance with the details shown on the drawings and conforming to the requirements of these specifications or as directed by the engineer. 1101.2. 1101.2. The construction of pile foundations requires a careful choice of the piling system depending on subsoil conditions and loading characteristics and type of structure. The permissible limits of total and differential settlements, unsupported length of pile under scour, impact, entanglement of floating bodies and any other special requirements of project, are also equally important criteria for selection of the piling system. The method of installing the piles, including details of the equipment, shall be submitted by the contractor and got approved from the engineer before commencement of work. 1101.3. 1102. 1102.1. The work shall be carried out as per as 2911 except as modified herein. Subsurface investigations. The complete subsurface investigations of strata in which pile foundations are proposed shall be carried out in advance along with in situ pile tests. For details of geotechnical subsurface explorations, refer section 2400 of these specifications. Borings should be carried up to sufficient depth so as to ascertain the nature of strata around the pile shaft and below the pile tip. Depth of boring shall not be less than i.e. 1102.2. 1.5 times estimated length of pile in soil of 15 meters below the proposed founding level. 15 times diameter of pile in ordinary, jointed rock but minimum 15 meters in such rock. 4 times diameter of pile in hard rock but minimum 3 meters in such rock. The subsurface investigations shall adequately define stratification of substrata including the nature and type of strata, their variation, extent and specific properties. The investigations shall be adequate for the purpose of selection of appropriate piling system and for estimating design capacities for different diameters and length of piles. 1102.3. Pressure meter tests may be used in the case of rock, ground or soil for direct evaluation of strength and compressibility characteristics. Though these tests are of specialized nature, they are more appropriate for difficult, uncertain substrata and especially for important projects. 1102.4. For piles socketed into rock, it is necessary to determine the uniaxial compressive strength of the rock and its quality. 457. Pile foundations. The investigations shall also include location of groundwater table and other parameters, including results of chemical tests showing sulfate and chloride content and any other deleterious chemical content in soil and or groundwater, likely to affect durability. 1103. 1103.1. Type of piles. Piles may be of reinforced concrete, pre-stressed concrete, steel or timber and circular, square, hexagonal, octagonal, H, or I, section in shape. They may be of solid or hollow sections or steel cases filled with concrete. Timber piles may be used for temporary bridges. Cast in situ concrete piles may be driven cast in situ or board cast in situ. Similarly, precast concrete piles also may be driven precast or board precast. In board precast piles are lowered into preformed bores and annular space grouted. 1103.2. Minimum diameter of concrete pile shall be 1 meter for river, marine bridges. For bridges beyond the water zone and bridges on land, the minimum diameter may be 750 millimeters. 1104. 1104.1. Materials. The basic materials shall conform to section 1000 of these specifications. The specifications for steel reinforcement, structural concrete, pre-stressed concrete and structural steel to be used in pile foundations shall conform to sections 1600, 1700, 1800 and 1900 respectively of these specifications. 1104.2. Concrete in piles. For both precast and cast in situ piles, the grade of concrete, minimum cement content, water cement ratio and slump at the time of placement shall be as per Table 1101. Table 1101, Requirements for concrete in piles. Cast in situ concrete by Tremi. Grade of concrete. Minimum cement content. Minimum water cement ratio. M35. 400 kilograms per cubic meter. 0.4. Slump, as measured at the time of placement. 150 to 200. Precast concrete. M35. 400 kilograms per cubic meter. 0.40. 50 to 75. The terms, minimum cement content, and minimum water cement ratio mentioned. Table 1101 are to be based on total cementitious material, inclusive of all mineral admixtures called additives, mentioned in clause 1007 of these specifications. Maximum limits for such additives shall be as specified in clause 1716.2 of these specifications. 458. Pile foundations. Section 1100. High alumina cements, i.e. quick setting cement, shall not be used in marine conditions. When both chlorides and sulfates are present, in soil or groundwater, sulfate-resistant cement shall not be used. For improving resistance against the penetration of chlorides and sulfates from surrounding soils or water, mineral admixtures such as fly ash, silica fumes, GGBS conforming to respective BIS, international standards and as per IRC 112, may be used. 1105. 1105.1. Test piles. Test piles which are shown on the drawings or specified in the contract or installed by the contractor on his own to determine the lengths of piles to be furnished, shall conform to the requirements for piling as indicated in these specifications. Test piles which are used to arrive at the load carrying capacity shall not be incorporated in the structure. All test piles shall be installed with the same type of equipment that is proposed to be used for piling in the actual structure. Test piles which are not to be incorporated in the completed structure shall be removed to at least 600 mm below the proposed soffit level of pile cap, and the remaining holes so formed shall be backfilled with earth or other suitable material. The piles shall be load tested in accordance with provisions laid down in this section. 1106. 1106.1. Precast concrete piles. General. Precast concrete piles shall be of the size and shape as shown in the approved drawings. If a square section is employed, the corners shall be chamfered by at least 25 mm unless otherwise specified on the drawings. The length of pile shall not normally exceed 25 meters. However, where special equipments for handling and installation are available to the satisfaction of the engineer, longer length could be permitted. 1106.2. Stacking, storing and handling. Care shall be taken that at all stages of transporting, lifting and handling, the piles are not damaged or cracked. During transport and stacking of piles, they shall be supported at the same points as those provided for lifting purposes. If the piles are put down temporarily during handling, they shall be placed on trestles or blocks located at the same points. Piles shall be stored at least 300 mm above firm level ground, which is not liable to unequal subsidence or settlement under the weight of the stack of piles. They shall be placed on timber supports which are level and spaced so as to avoid bending. The supports in different layers shall be vertically one above the other. Spaces shall be left round the piles to enable. 459. Section 1100. Pile foundations. Them to be lifted without difficulty. The order of stacking shall be such that the older piles can be withdrawn without disturbing newer piles. Separate stacks shall be provided for different lengths of piles. Where piles are stacked in layers, the number of layers shall not exceed 3. Whenever curing is needed during storage, arrangements shall be made to enable the piles to be watered. For detailed precautions with regard to curing operations for structural concrete, refer section 1700 of these specifications. Before the operation of handling and driving the piles, the minimum periods counted from the time of casting shall be as indicated in Table 1102. Pre-stressed pile shall not be lifted or handled until fully stressed. Table 1102. Time for curing precast piles. Type of cement used in casting the pile. Ordinary Portland. Rapid hardening. Minimum periods from time of casting. Strike side shitters, hours. End of wet curing, days. 2412. Portland. 1106.3. Lengthening of piles. 7-7. Lift from bed, days. Casting drive, days. 10-7. 28-10. Where a pile is to have additional length cast on it during driving, the longitudinal reinforcement shall preferably be joined by full penetration butt welding. The concrete at the top of the original pile shall be cut down to expose not less than 200 mm of the bars to avoid spalling of the concrete by heat of welding. The added bars have to be held accurately and rigidly in position during welding. Where facilities on site are insufficient to make proper butt welding practicable, the joint may be made by lapping. The reinforcement at the head of pile will need to be exposed for full anchorage length or 600 mm whichever is greater and the new bars overlapped for this distance. Unless otherwise specified, the extension of the pile shall be formed to the same cross-sectional profile and with concrete of at least the same strength as that specified for the original pile. The stirrup spacing shall in no case be greater than 150 mm. Not more than one extension shall be permitted. In case more than one extension is permitted by the engineer, only approved mechanical couplers shall be used. Driving shall not be resumed until a. b. The strength of the concrete in the extension is at least equal to the specified characteristic strength of concrete in pile, and 460. The approval of the engineer has been obtained. Pile foundations. Section 1100. 1106.4. Removal of surplus length. Any length of pile surplus to that required for incorporation in the structure shall be cut off neatly and removed. During the process of cutting off, it shall be ensured that projecting reinforcement to be anchored into the pile cap and the pre-stressing strands, wires are not damaged. When stripping pre-stressed concrete piles, sudden release of tendons shall be avoided. Reference may also be made to Clause 7.7.1 of AS. 2911, Part 1, Section 3, in this connection. 1106.5. Risen piles. Level of top of each pile shall be taken after driving and again after all the piles are driven. Piles which are found to have risen due to ground heave or as a result of driving adjacent piles, shall be re-driven to the original depth or resistance unless re-driving tests on adjacent piles have shown this to be unnecessary. 1106.6. Manufacture. The pile should be cast in one continuous operation from end to end of each pile. Manufacture of precast concrete piles shall conform to the guidelines contained in Clause 7.1, 7.2 and 7.3, or AS. 2911, Part 1, Section 3. Piles shall be provided with suitable metal shoe for protecting the tip of the pile during driving in hard ground. Piles shall not be moved from casting bed until the concrete has hardened sufficiently. Piles shall not be driven in less than 28 days after casting or unless their strength at the time of driving is at least that specified for 28 days. 1106.7. Pre-stressed concrete piles. Additional specifications for precast pre-stressed concrete piles shall conform to those contained in Clause 8 of AS. 2911, Part 1, Section 3. 1107. 1107.1. Cast in situ concrete piles. General. Cast in situ concrete piles may be either installed by drilling a bore into the ground and removing the material or by driving a metal casing with a shoe at the tip and displacing. 461. Section 1100. Pile foundations. The material laterally. The two types of piles are termed as bored piles and driven piles, respectively. Cast in situ concrete piles may be cast in metal shells which may remain permanently in place. However, other types of reinforced concrete cast in situ piles, cased or encased, may be used if in the opinion of the engineer the soil conditions permit their use and if their design and the methods of placing are satisfactory. Certain specific requirements regarding driving of cast in situ driven piles shall be as per clauses 1110 and 1111. Any liner or borehole which is improperly located or shows partial collapses that would affect the load carrying capacity of the pile, shall be rejected or repaired as direct Any liner or borehole which is improperly located or shows partial collapses that would affect the load carrying capacity of the pile, shall be rejected or repaired as directed by the engineer at the cost of the contractor. Boring shall be carried out using rotary equipment. Percussion type of equipment shall be used only if approved by the engineer. The diameter of the finished pile shall not be less than that specified. A continuous record shall be kept by the engineer as to the volume of concrete placed in relation to the length of pile that is cast. Defective piles shall be removed or left in place as judged convenient without affecting the performance of adjacent piles or pile cap. Additional piles shall be provided to replace the defective piles. 1107.2. Concreting. Wherever practicable, concrete should be placed in a clean dry hole. Prior to the placing of the reinforcement cage, the pile shaft shall be cleaned of all loose materials. Before concreting of the pile is commenced, it is essential to ensure that no debris remains at the bottom of the shaft, as inadequate cleaning of the base can lead to formation of a soft base or soft toe which may result in reduction of load-bearing capacity of the pile. Reinforcement for the pile as shown on the drawing shall be tied in place to form a cage which is lowered into the pile shaft. Suitable spaces shall be provided to maintain the required cover to reinforcing steel. Reinforcements at the bottom should not be provided with L-bends as these may interfere with cleaning of the pile base. Where concrete is placed in dry and a casing is present, the top 3 meters of the pile shall be compacted using internal vibrators. Where the casing is withdrawn from cohesive soils for the formation of cast in situ pile, the concreting should be done with necessary precautions to minimize the softening of the soil by excess water. Where mud flow conditions exist, the casing of cast in situ piles shall not be allowed to be withdrawn. 462. Pile foundations. Section 1100. Care shall be taken during concreting to prevent the segregation of the ingredients. The displacement or distortion of reinforcement during concreting and while extracting the casing shall also be avoided. If the concrete is placed inside precast concrete tubes or consist of precast sections, these shall be free from cracks or other damage before being installed. The concrete shall be properly graded, shall be self-compacting and shall not get mixed with soil, excess water, or other extraneous matter. Special care shall be taken in silty clays and other soils which have the tendency to squeeze into the newly deposited concrete and coarse. Necking. Sufficient head of green concrete shall be maintained to prevent inflow of soil or water into the concrete. The placing of concrete shall be a continuous process from the toe level to the top of the pile. To ensure compaction by hydraulic static heads, rate of placing concrete in the pile shaft shall not be less than 6 meters, length of pile, per hour. 1107.3. Casing. When concreting is carried out for a pile, a temporary casing should be installed to sufficient depth so as to ensure that fragments of soil from the sides of the hole do not drop into the concrete as it is placed. When the borehole is stabilized using drilling mud, the temporary casing is not required except near the top. The metal casing shall be of sufficient thickness and strength to hold its original form and show no harmful distortion while driving or when adjacent casings are driven. Cast in situ concrete driven piles shall be installed using a properly designed detachable shoe at the bottom of the casing. Board cast in situ piles in soils which are stable may often be installed with only a small casing length at the top. A minimum of 2 meters length of top of bore shall invariably be provided with casing to ensure against loose soil falling into the bore. In cases in which the side soil can fall into the hole, it is necessary to stabilize the side of the borehole with drilling mud, or a suitable steel casing. Permanent steel liner shall be provided at least up to maximum scour level. The minimum thickness of steel liner shall be 6 mm. Permanent steel liner shall be provided for the full depth of the pile in the following situations where i.e. the surrounding soil is marine clay. Soft soil is present. 463. Surrounding soil has sulfate content equal to or more than 1%. Section 1100. IV. Pile foundations. Surrounding water has sulfate content equal to or more than 2500 ppm. V. Leakage of sewage is expected. For board cast in situ piles, casing, liner shall be driven open-ended with a pile driving hammer capable of achieving penetration of the liner to the depth shown on the drawing or as approved by the engineer. Materials inside the casing shall be removed progressively by airlift, grab or percussion equipment or other approved means. Where board cast in situ piles are used in soils liable to flow, the bottom of the casing shall be kept sufficiently in advance of the boring tool to prevent the entry of soil into the casing, leading to formation of cavities and settlements in the adjoining ground. The water level in the casing should generally be maintained at the natural groundwater level for the same reasons. The joints of the casing shall be made as leak-tight as possible to minimize inflow of water or leakage of slurry during concreting. The diameter of the boreholes shall not be more than the inside diameter of the liner when the liners are installed before boring. When the liners are installed after boring, the diameter of the boreholes shall not be more than the outside diameter of liner plus 2 mm, unless otherwise approved by engineer. 1107.4. Use of tremie. The concrete should invariably be poured through a tremie with a funnel, so that the concrete can be properly deposited in the hole without segregation. For concreting done by tremie, the following requirements which are particularly applicable shall be ensured. A, B, C, D, A, F. The hopper and tremie should be a leak-proof system. Diameter of tremie shall be not less than 200 mm for use with 20 mm diameter down aggregate. The first charge of concrete should be placed with a sliding plug pushed down the tube ahead of it or with a steel plate with adequate charge to prevent mixing of concrete and water. However, the plug should not be left in the concrete as a lump. The tremie pipe should always penetrate well into the concrete within. Adequate margin of safety against accidental withdrawal of the pipe. The tremie should be always full of concrete. The pile should be concreted wholly by tremie and the method of deposition should not be changed part way up the pile, to prevent latents from being entrapped within the pile. 464. All tremie tubes shall be thoroughly cleaned after use. Pile foundations. Section 1100. G. H. 1107.5. For concrete placed through tremie, there is no need to add 10% extra cement. Concreting of piles shall be carried out continuously. In exceptional cases of interruption of concreting, the tremie shall not be taken out of the concrete under any circumstances. The tremie pipe shall be raised and lowered slowly from time to time to prevent it from getting stuck in the concrete while ensuring it's lower and does not come out of concrete. The concreting shall be resumed before final setting time of concrete, which shall be established before the start of the piling operation. For achieving longer setting time of the concrete, superplasticizers having retarding properties, retarders can be used. If any of these requirements are not met, the pile shall be rejected. Removal of concrete above cutoff level. It is desirable that the concrete above cutoff level is removed before the concrete is set. This may be done manually or by specially made baler or other device. Such removal of concrete helps in preventing the damage of the good concrete below the cutoff level, which results from chipping by percussion method. The removal of concrete shall be within plus or minus 25 mm from the specified cutoff level, preferably on the minus side. After removal of such concrete, the concrete shall be compacted with rammer with spikes or vibrated. In case the concrete is not removed before setting, a groove shall be made on outer perimeter by rotary equipment before chipping by percussion method. The minimum embedment of cast in situ concrete piles into pile cap shall not be less than 50 mm. Any defective concrete at the head of the completed pile shall be cut away and made good with new concrete. The clear cover between the bottom reinforcement in pile cap from the top of the pile shall be not less than 25 mm. The reinforcement in the pile shall be exposed for full anchorage length to permit it to be adequately bonded into the pile cap. Exposing such length shall be done carefully to avoid damaging the rest of the pile. 1108. Steel piles. Steel piles shall be of H or I sections as shown on the drawings and shall be of structural steel conforming to section 1000 of these specifications. Steel piles shall be protected by suitable anti-corrosive painting as specified on the drawing or as directed by the engineer. Piles shall be stored above the ground having protective packing to minimize damage to surface coating. Each pile shall be supplied preferably in one piece without splices. 465. Section 1100. Pile foundations. At the option of the contractor, steel piles consisting of structural steel plates welded together may be substituted for the rolled sections specified, provided the depth, width and average thicknesses are at least equal to those of the rolled sections. The steel plates conform to section 1000 of these specifications. The flanges shall be welded to the web with continuous F-illet welds on either side of the web, and the welding shall conform to clause 1904.8 of these specifications. The length of the steel pile may be built up in sections either before or during driving operations. The sections shall be of identical cross-section. Pile splices shall be made with full penetration butt welds over the whole cross-section. Pile splices shall develop at least the yield strength of pile. The connections shall be made by butt welding the entire cross-section in accordance with the provisions in clause 1904.8 of these specifications. Care shall be taken to properly align the sections connected so that the axis of the pile will be straight. The number of welded connections in the length of pile shall be as few as possible. 1109. Timber piles. The engineer shall stamp each pile on the butt with a stamp which shall make an impression that is readily legible. Treated timber piles will be inspected by the engineer after treatment. Untreated timber piles may be used as test piles. Treated timber piles shall be driven within 6 months after treatment. Timber piles shall be furnished with tip protection and protected by the use of steel straps. Tip protection shall be suitable for use on timber piling of the size to be driven. Details of tip protection shall be furnished to the engineer for review and approval before driving piles. Not less than 2 separate steel straps shall be placed within 600 mm of the butt of each pile after the pile is square cut. Not less than 2 separate steel straps shall be placed within 300 mm of the tip of each pile. Additional intermediate steel straps shall be placed at intervals of not more than 3 meters measured along the length of the pile. Timber piles which are to be capped shall be separately cut off so that true bearing is obtained on every pile. Piles inaccurately cut off shall be replaced. Splicing of timber piles shall not be permitted except by written permission of the engineer. 1110. Driving equipment. Piles or their casings may be driven with any type of drop hammer, diesel hammer or singly acting steam or compressed air hammer, provided they penetrate to the prescribed depth to attain the designed resistance without being damaged. The weight or power of the hammer should be sufficient to ensure a penetration of at least 5 mm per blow unless rock has been reached. It is always preferable to employ the heaviest hammer practicable and to limit the stroke so as not to damage the pile. The minimum weight of the hammer shall be 2.5 t. In 466. Pile foundations. Section 1100. The case of precast concrete piles, the mass of the hammer shall be not less than 30 times the mass of 300 mm length of pile. Steam or air hammers shall be furnished along with boiler or air compressor of capacity at least equal to that specified by the manufacturer of the hammers. The boiler or air compressor shall be equipped with an accurate pressure gauge at all times. The valve mechanism and other parts of steam, air or diesel hammers shall be maintained in first-class condition so that the length of stroke and number of blows per minute for which the hammer is designed, will be obtained. Inefficient steam, air or diesel hammers shall not be permitted to be used on the work. 1111. 1111.1. Driving. General procedure. Details of the equipment and the method proposed for driving the piles shall be submitted for scrutiny and approval of the engineer. Piles shall be installed from firm ground or from temporary supports or from fixed platform. The arrangement shall provide sufficient rigidity to ensure accuracy of pile driving under all conditions of tide, stream flow or hammer drop. During driving, the top of pile shall be protected by a suitable helmet of substantial steel construction. The helmet shall provide uniform bearing across the top of the pile and shall hold the pile centrally under the hammer. No pile shall be driven unless inspected and approved by the engineer. Piles shall be driven from a fixed frame of sufficient rigidity to ensure accuracy of driving within specified tolerances. The force of the hammer shall be directed centrally and axially during driving. Forces producing undue bending or torsional stresses in piles shall not be applied during driving. The stroke of a single acting or drop hammer shall be limited to 1.2 meters unless otherwise permitted by the engineer. A shorter stroke may be necessary when there is danger of damaging the pile. Piles shall not be bent or sprung into position but shall be effectively guided and held on line during the initial stages of driving. Attempts to correct any tendency for the pile to run off line by the application of significant horizontal restraint will not be permitted. Shortly after the commencement of driving and at regular intervals throughout the driving operation, checks shall be made to ensure that the pile frame does not exert any undue lateral force on the pile due to restraint within the helmet. If the indications are that a pile will finish outside the specified tolerances, driving operations on that pile will cease. The pile shall be withdrawn, the hole filled and the pile re-driven at the cost of the contractor. 467. Section 1100. Pile foundations. To avoid the possibility of premature setup, pile driving shall be continuous in the later stages, without any deliberate stops. Delays of an hour or less may lead to significant setup in piles, i.e., resistance to further driving increases after driving is stopped. If any pile is damaged in any way during driving, it shall be repaired or replaced as directed by the engineer, at the cost of the contractor. If during driving, the head of a pile is damaged to the extent that further driving is not possible, the head shall be cut off and driving continued. The cost of cutting off shall be borne by the contractor, and where, as a result of such cutting off the head, the pile is too short, the contractor shall, at his own cost, supply and splice on sufficient length of pile to restore the pile to its correct length. Piles should be driven to the minimum acceptable penetration shown on the drawings. This may require pre-boring and/or jetting as indicated in clause 111.2, with the approval of the engineer. Piles shall be driven to nominal refusal or the required ultimate dynamic capacity mentioned on the drawings or until the top of the pile is at the level required and specified on the drawing, whichever gives the lowest toe elevation. The engineer's decision in these matters shall be final. Nominal refusal shall be taken as equivalent to 25 mm total penetration for the final 20 blows using a hammer of driving energy as specified and shall be used as the criterion for acceptance for piles founded on rock. Severe driving which results in an average set per blow less than 0.5 mm will not be permitted. Where hard drilling is encountered because of dense strata or obstructions located above the predetermined pile tip level, nominal refusal shall not be considered to have been achieved unless the engineer is satisfied that the total number of blows, as the average driving resistance specified for nominal refusal, indicates that further driving will not advance the pile through dense strata or obstructions. The pile shall be driven as accurately as possible to the vertical or to specified batter. Straining the pile into position can damage it, and the driving equipment should be adjusted as much as possible to follow the position of the pile. Any deviation from the proper alignment shall be noted and promptly reported to the engineer. If the deviation is to such an extent that the resulting eccentricity cannot be taken care of by strengthening the pile cap or pile tips, such a pile shall, at the discretion of the engineer, be replaced or supplemented by an additional pile. Unless otherwise specified, the permissible positional deviation for piles shall be limited to those indicated in clause 1116. Care shall be taken not to damage the pile by overdriving. Any sudden change in the rate of penetration which cannot be ascribed in the nature of the ground shall be noted and its cause ascertained, if possible, before driving is continued. While withdrawing a casing used in the construction of cast in situ pile, consideration shall be given to the possibility of damaging any other nearby pile. The danger of damaging is greater. 468. Pile foundations. Section 1100. In compact soils than in loose soils. No pile shall be bored or driven within 3 meters of a newly cast pile until at least 24 hours after completion of its installation. Driving piles in loose sand tends to compact the sand, which in turn increases the skin friction. Therefore, driving a number of friction piles in a group shall proceed outward from the center, as otherwise it will be difficult to drive the inner piles to the same depth as the others. In the case of stiff clay also, the driving for a group of piles shall proceed outward from the center. However, in case of very soft soil, the driving may proceed from outside to inside, so that the soil is restrained from flowing out during driving operations. If there is a major variation between the depth at which adjacent foundation piles in a group meet refusal, a boring shall be made nearby to ascertain the cause of this difference. If the boring shows that the soil contains pockets of highly compressive material below the level of the shorter pile, it will be necessary to enforce penetration of all the piles to a level below the bottom of the zone which shows such pockets. 1111.2. Pre-boring and jetting. Driving of the piles may be assisted by pre-boring holes or by the use of jets or both, subject to the approval of the engineer. These may be used essentially to achieve the minimum penetration shown on the drawings where such penetration is not reached under normal conditions of driving indicated in clause 1111.1. The diameter of the hole shall not be greater than the diagonal dimension of the pile less 100 mm. The maximum depth of the pre-boring shall be such that the specified set, or less, is obtained when the toe of the pile is at founding level. Pre-boring shall be as approved by the engineer and shall be carried out only up to a level of 1 meter above the founding level. The pile shall be driven for at least 1 meter below the pre-bored hole. To ensure that the pile is properly supported laterally in the hole, any space remaining around the pile at the ground level after driving is completed, shall be backfilled with approved granular material. When water jetting is used, at least 2 jets shall be attached to the pile symmetrically. The volume and pressure of water at the outlet nozzles shall be sufficient to freely erode material adjacent to the toe of the pile. The maximum depth up to which jetting is carried out shall be such that the specified set, or less, is obtained when the toe of the pile is at founding level. Jetting shall cease as directed by the engineer and shall proceed only up to 1 meter above the founding level. The pile shall be driven at least 1 meter below the pre-bored hole. To avoid very hard driving and vibration in materials such as sand, jetting of piles by means of water may be carried out only with the express permission of the engineer and in such a 469. Section 1100. Pile foundations. Manner is not to impair the bearing capacity of piles already in place, the stability of the soil or the safety of any adjoining buildings. Details of the arrangement for jetting shall be got approved from the engineer in advance. If large quantities of water are used for jetting, provision shall be made for collecting and draining away of water when it comes to the surface of the ground, so that the stability of the piling plant is not endangered by the softening of the ground. Jetting shall be stopped before completing the driving, which shall always be finished by ordinary methods. Jetting shall be stopped if there is any tendency for the pile tips to be drawn towards the pile already driven owing to the disturbance of the ground. 1112. Racker, inclined piles. The maximum rake to be permitted in piles shall not exceed the following. I.e. 1113. 1 in 6 for all board piles. 1 in 6 for cast in situ piles. 1 in 4 for precast driven piles. Pile tests. 1113.1. Initial load test. I.e. The number of initial tests shall be determined by the engineer taking into consideration the bore log and soil profile, design length, pile diameter and design pile capacity. However, it shall not be less than 2 for each category. Initial load test for axial load capacity, including uplift capacity if required, on trial piles of the same diameter as of the design pile, shall be carried out after 28 days design strength is achieved. The testing shall be done as per the procedure laid down in AS 2911, Part 4. The load test shall be conducted for not less than 2.5 times the design load. The initial load test shall be cyclic load test for piles deriving strength from end bearing and side friction. The maintained load test can be performed for end bearing piles which do not rely on friction and for piles socketed in rock. If the initial load test gives a capacity greater than 25% of the capacity calculated by static formula, and if it is desired to take benefit of the higher capacity, another 2 load tests shall be carried out to confirm the earlier value, and minimum of the 3 shall be considered. 470. Pile foundations. Section 1100. IV. V. 1113.2. As initial load test value. The number of initial tests shall be determined by the engineer taking into consideration the bore log and soil profile. Lateral load tests shall be carried out for estimating the lateral load capacity of the piles. The test procedure shall be carried out as per IS 2911 Part 4. However, the permissible deflection shall be as per IRC 78. In particular cases where upper part of pile is likely to be exposed later due to scour, then the capacity contributed by that portion of the pile during load test shall be accounted for. Routine load tests. Routine load test shall be carried out at actual locations of foundations of bridges to reconfirm or modify the allowable loads. The lateral load test may be conducted on 2 adjacent piles. However, results of routine load tests shall not be used for upward revision of design capacity of piles. The minimum number of tests to be conducted for confirming the capacity shall be as per Table 1103. Table 1103. Minimum number of tests. Total number of piles for the bridge. Up to 50. 50 to 150. Beyond 150. Minimum number of test piles. 2. 3. 2% of total piles, fractional number rounded to next higher integer number. Note. 1113.3. The number of tests may be judiciously increased depending upon the variability of foundation strata. For determining the number of piles to be tested for the routine test, the total No of piles under all structures of left and right carriageway and the service road shall be taken together provided length and diameters of the piles are the same. Permissible overload. While conducting routine test on one of the piles belonging to a pile group, if the pile capacity is found to be deficient, based on the settlement criteria of 12 mm for piles of diameter up to and including 600 mm and 2% of the pile diameter for piles of diameter more than 600 mm at 1.5 times the design load, and overload up to 10% of the capacity may be allowed. 1113.4. For a quick assessment of pile capacity, strain dynamic tests may be conducted after establishing correlation using the results of load tests. However, results of strain dynamic tests shall not be used for upward revision of design capacity of pile. Detailed guidelines and references are given in IRC 78. These methods can be followed. 471. Section 1100. Pile foundations. To have a fairly good idea about the quality of concrete and construction defects like voids, discontinuities etc., pile integrity tests are extensively conducted. Detailed guidelines in this connection are given in IRC 78. 1114. Pile cap. Casting of pile cap should be at a level higher than low water level unless functionally required to be below low water level. In such cases, dewatering shall be resorted to allow concreting in dry conditions. Pile caps shall be of reinforced concrete. A minimum offset of 150 mm shall be provided beyond the outer faces of the outermost piles in the group. If the pile cap is in contact with earth at the bottom, a leveling course of minimum 80 mm thickness of M15 nominal mix concrete shall be provided. In marine conditions or areas exposed to the action of harmful chemicals, The pile cap shall be protected with a coating such as bituminous-based coulter epoxy or epoxy-based coating or with suitable anti-corrosive paint. Concrete with high alumina cement shall not be used in marine environment. The attachment of the pile head to the cap shall be adequate for the transmission of loads and forces. A portion of pile top may be stripped of concrete and the reinforcement anchored into the cap. Manual chipping may be permitted 3 days after casting of pile, while pneumatic tools for chipping shall be permitted only 7 days after casting of pile. The top of pile after stripping shall project at least 50 mm into the pile cap. The top of concrete in a pile shall be brought above cut-off level to permit removal of all latents and weak concrete before pile cap is laid. This will ensure good concrete at the cut-off level. 1115. 1115.1. The 1st of January 1115. Important considerations, inspection, precautions for different types of piles. Driven cast in situ piles. Specialist literature and the guidelines from the pile construction industry shall be consulted regarding the method of installation, equipment and accessories for pile driving and recording of data. The 2nd of January 1115. During installation of piles, the final set of penetration of pile per blow of hammer shall be checked taking an average of last 10 blows. The 3rd of January 1115. The pile shoes which may be of either cast iron conical type or mild steel F-lut type shall have double reams for proper seating of the removable casing tube inside the space between the reams. 472. Pile foundations. Section 1100. The 4th of January 1115. Before commencement of pouring of concrete, it shall be ensured that there is no ingress of water in the casing tube from the bottom. Further, adequate control during withdrawal of the casing tube is essential so as to maintain sufficient head of concrete inside the casing tube at all stages of withdrawal. The 5th of January 1115. Concrete in piles shall be cast up to a minimum height of 600 mm above the design top level of pile, which shall be stripped off at the time of construction of pile cap. 1115.2. The 1st of February 1115. Board cast in situ piles. While concreting encased piles, voids in concrete shall be avoided and sufficient head of concrete is to be maintained to prevent inflow of soil or water into the concrete. It is also necessary to take precautions during concreting to minimize the softening of the soil by excess water. Encased cast in situ piles shall not be allowed where mud flow conditions exist. The 2nd of February 1115. The drilling mud such as bentonite suspension shall be maintained at a level sufficiently above the surrounding groundwater level throughout the boring process, to ensure the stability of the strata which is being penetrated until the pile has been concreted. The 3rd of February 1115. Where bentonite suspension is used to maintain the stability of the borehole, it is essential that the properties of the material be carefully controlled at stages of mixing, supply to the borehole and immediately before concrete is placed. It is usual to limit IV the density of bentonite suspension to 1.05 grams per cc. The mass cone viscosity between 30 and 40. The pH value between 9.5 and 12. The silt content less than 1%. The liquid limit of bentonite not less than 400%. These aspects shall act as controlling factors for preventing contamination of bentonite slurry for clay and silt. The 4th of February 1115. The bores shall be washed by bentonite flushing to ensure clean bottom at 2 stages viz. After completion of boring and prior to concreting after placing of reinforcement cage. Flushing of bentonite shall be done continuously with fresh bentonite slurry till the consistency of inflowing and outflowing slurry is similar. The 5th of February 1115. For concreting of piles using tremie, clause 1107 of these specifications may be referred. The 6th of February 1115. For very long or large diameter piles, use of retarding plasticizer in concrete. 473. Is desirable. Section 1100 Pile Foundations 474, 1115.2.7 For large diameter piles, it may be essential to conduct non-destructive pile integrity tests to evaluate integrity of the pile. The 8th of February 1115 where possible, it may be desirable to grout the base of pile with cement slurry under suitable pressure after concrete in the pile attains the desired strength. For this purpose, conduit pipes with easily removable plugs at the bottom end should be placed in the bore along with reinforcement cage before concreting. 1116 tolerances. 1116.1 Permissible tolerances for piles I. Precast concrete piles. A. Variation in cross-sectional dimensions. Plus or minus 5 mm. B. Variation in length. Plus or minus 25 mm. C. Surface irregularities measured with 3 meters straight edge. 5 mm. D. Bow for total length of pile in mm 1 mm per meter. Length of pile limited to 20 mm. E. Driven piles. A. Variation in cross-sectional dimensions. Plus 50 mm, minus 10 mm. B. Variation from vertical for vertical piles. 1 in 150 C. For vertical piles deviation at piling platform level. 75 mm. D. Variation of level of top of piles. Plus or minus 25 mm. E. Board piles. A. Variation in cross-sectional dimensions. Plus 50 mm, minus 10 mm. B. Variation from vertical for vertical piles. 1 in 150 C. For vertical piles deviation at piling platform level. 75 mm. D. Variation of level of top of piles. Plus or minus 25 mm. IV. For racker piles from specified rake. 1 in 25. 1116.2 Permissible tolerances for pile caps. A. Variation in dimensions. Plus 50 mm, minus 10 mm. B. Misplacement from specified position in plan. 15 mm. C. Surface irregularities measured. 5 mm with 3 meters straight edge. D. Variation of level of top of piles. Plus or minus 25 mm. Pile foundations. Section 1100. 1117. Tests and standards of acceptance. The materials shall be tested in accordance with these specifications and shall meet the prescribed criteria and requirements. The work shall conform to these specifications and shall meet the prescribed standards of acceptance. 1118. Measurements for payment. For supply of precast concrete, timber or steel piles of specified cross-section, the measurement shall be in meters of the length of piles ordered in writing by the engineer measured from the head to the butt of the shoe or the tapered point. Reinforcement in precast concrete piles shall not be measured for payment. For cast in situ driven and board concrete piles of specified cross-section, the measurement shall be the length in meters of the accepted pile that remains in the finished structure complete in place. Reinforcement in cast in situ driven and board concrete piles shall be measured for payment as per section 1600 of these specifications. Routine and initial pile load tests shall not be measured for payment. For installation of the pile, i.e. by drilling in the case of precast concrete, timber, steel and cast in situ driven piles, and by boring in the case of cast in situ board pile, the measurement shall be the length in meters that remains in the finished structure complete in place, limited to that shown on drawings or ordered by the engineer. No distinction shall be made for penetration through hard strata or rock and socketing into rock. For steel liners, casing shown on the drawings to be permanently left in place, the measurement shall be by weight in tons that remains in the finished structure complete in place, limited to that shown on drawings or ordered by the engineer. For the pile cap, the quantity of concrete shall be measured in cubic meters as per section 1700 of these specifications, and reinforcement in pile cap shall be measured in tons as per section 1600 of these specifications. 1119. Rate. The contract unit rate for supplying precast concrete, timber or steel piles shall include cost of all labor, materials, tools and equipment, and other work involved in making or fabricating the pile complete as shown on the drawing, and where required its loading, transport, delivery to site, unloading and stacking at the place indicated by the engineer. The cost of reinforcement including treatment as per section 1600 of these specifications in precast. 475. Section 1100. Pile foundations. Concrete shall be deemed to be included in the quoted rate for supply of piles. The contract unit rate shall also include costs of all labor, materials, equipments and all other incidentals involved in conducting routine and initial pile load tests, including installation of piles for initial load tests. The contract unit rate for cast in situ driven and board piles shall include the cost of concrete and all other items as per section 1700 of these specifications. The contract unit rate shall also include costs of all labor, materials, equipments and all other incidentals involved in conducting routine and initial pile load tests, including installation of piles for initial load tests. The contract unit rate for reinforcement in cast in situ driven and board piles shall be as per section 1600 of these specifications. The contract unit rate for installation of piles shall include full compensation for furnishing all labor, materials, tools and equipment, and incidentals for doing all the works involved in driving timber, precast concrete and steel piles, driving or making bores for cast in situ driven and board concrete piles, cutting off pile heads, all complete in place to the specified penetration of piles. Providing temporary liner, casing and its withdrawal and placing reinforcement in position shall also be deemed to be included in the rate for installation of piles and no additional payment shall be made for the same. The contract unit rate for permanent steel liners shall include cost of all labor, fabrication, treatment to the liner and placing the steel liner to the required depth as shown on the drawings and as ordered by the engineer. The contract unit rate for concrete in pile cap shall cover all costs of labor, materials, tools, plant and equipment, formwork and staging including placing in position, sampling and testing and all as per section 1700 of these specifications. Unit rate quoted shall also include the treatment to be given to the surfaces of the pile cap. Reinforcement in the pile cap shall be paid for separately as per section 1600 of these specifications. 476. 1200. Well foundations.